On first down, they hand off to Marlon Mack. Huge hole, 50-yard line. He's at the 40, still going near sideline. He's at the 10. He's at the 5, and he will score. Touchdown, Marlon Mack. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. And again, it's picked off. It's Darius Leonard. Leonard with a second INT, and he's streaking down the near sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's going to go. A pick six for the Maniac. Kenny Moore gets to Deshaun Watson. That's a sack for Kenny Moore. Kenny has a pick and now a sack in the game.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts fans? Welcome back to another edition of the Bring the Juice podcast. And day one of the NFL draft is officially over. The Indianapolis Colts did not draft a player in the first round. They were rumored potentially to have some trade-up interest into the late first round, but ended up staying pat. They do have two picks in the second round. They have the second overall pick in the second round, number 34, and then they also have 10 picks later, number 44, and then they also have a third-round pick, number 75 overall. But, day one is over now, and there's still a lot of quality players on the board for the Colts. Honestly, felt like there was a lot of guys that really, they didn't get drafted in the first round. And guys that I thought would be gone are still on the board here, and that certainly bodes well considering the Colts have a high second-round pick and a decent second-round pick at 44. There's still a lot of guys on the board, so there's a lot of options and a lot of routes that the Colts can go with this 34 and 44th overall pick. Obviously, the first option Chris Ballard has talked about. He talked about in his presser with the local media. Hey, as much as I like 7 picks, I could go for more. I would like more picks, honestly. But then there's the argument that you can make, well, with the trading for DeForest Buckner for the 13th overall this year, maybe Chris Ballard would be better served to stay pat and draft the best player he has on the board. There's a lot of options that can help you with a lot of the needs that we have talked about that we feel like really would work well and mesh well and make an impact and help improve on that position that we felt like was a major weakness and a reason why the Colts didn't reach the playoffs for the second consecutive year. Maybe you decide, we like a lot of these guys. We feel like we can trade back, and we feel like we can get another pick while also getting one of these guys that we really love. That's potentially one option there. You could also do something where you address an immediate need at 34. You draft the best wide receiver on your board. You take Denzel Mims. I think he's the best wide receiver right now. Maybe T. Higgins as well, amongst some other guys. I know Michael Pittman out of USC is also another hot pick. One of those guys there at 34 immediately addresses the biggest weakness, undoubtedly on the offense, arguably on the team, the biggest weakness on the team. You address it there at 34. Maybe on the flip side, you decide, hey, we signed Xavier Rhodes and TJ Carey to one-year deals, but beyond that, we don't really have another starter alongside Rocky Sin at the outside corner position. Unless we re-sign one of those guys, we don't have a guy under contract that we can confidently say is going to be a starting outside corner for us for the long haul. And so there's a lot of guys there that potentially could be on the board and will be on the board now because, obviously the Bengals have that 33rd overall pick. And then the Colts, have the 34th overall pick. Guys like Trayvon Diggs, Jalen Johnson, Christian Fulton out of LSU, just to name a few. There's a lot of different guys. Those 3 guys are the big guys that I'm looking at, especially at the corner position. I know Grant Delpit also is a safety. Maybe you decide, hey, there's so much uncertainty. We don't know how we feel about Malik Hooker. Let's draft this guy to potentially be the successor for Hooker. Maybe you decide to do something like that. Or, maybe you decide, hey, we want to find Anthony Costanzo's replacement. Josh Jones, offensive tackle, still on the board here. Maybe we take him, we develop him, we add some offensive line depth for the here and now. But looking long-term, we found our solution when Costanzo decides to hang him up. And so, there's just a lot of options. Also, a guy like Gross-Matos, defensive end, he did not go in the first round. So maybe you decide, hey, we didn't bring back Jabal Sheard. We have some guys that we like there, in Ben Banogu, Kamoko Toure, but we want to continue to add to this. I'm always team. You always need more pass rushers, and so maybe this is one of those instances where you're like, hey, we want to get another pass rusher, and in your Gross-Matos is one of those guys. Another offensive tackle I forgot to mention, Ezra Cleveland, a guy that could potentially go in the second round there. AJ Espinenza, another guy, a defensive end guy that you could potentially add to your roster there. The second round's coming up here on Friday at 7 p.m., so it'll certainly be interesting to see what direction do the Colts decide to do. Are they team trade down? Are they team take the best player? Or are they team, address a position, maybe not necessarily the best player on our board, but we fill a position of need. So it'll certainly be interesting to see what the Colts do. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on what you think the Colts should do here with their second-round picks and their third-round pick, which will all be showed in the NFL draft will happen. The second and third rounds will happen Friday night, 7 p.m. is when it starts. It'll certainly be a lot of fun. Hope you guys will join us. We're going to have some live reactions to some of the Colts picks and some of the Colts moves. So we hope you join us for that. But thanks, guys, for listening, as always. And as always, go Colts.